Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am excited to share with you my guest, Heceliza Perez. And let me tell you about Heceliza. Heceliza. I said it wrong. So Heceliza. Heceliza is a Reiki and intuition teacher. After leaving her corporate job in fashion and advertising in New York City, she became a serial entrepreneur while living in places such as Bali, Mexico, and Costa Rica. There, she connected with the land, culture, and traditions of the people, learning other healing modalities to use in her practice along the way. She is passionate about teaching generational cycle breakers to connect deeply with their energy and intuition to achieve the inner peace, balance, and clarity. Through her intuitive guidance, she empowers others to release what no longer serves them, embrace the unknown with confidence, and embody the most empowered and authentic selves. Today, we're going to talk about a fast track to connect, heal, and transform with breathwork. Please join me in welcoming my guest, Heceliza Perez. Heceliza, so excited. I love talking about breathwork. I've found it all my life to be really helpful to give that inner strength. So I'm excited to have you here to share what you do.
Thank you for having me, Vicki. I'm really excited to share it too. I'm so passionate about breathwork along with other practices, but
Excellent.
Yes, it's an amazing tool.
So we always start with two easy questions. The first is, where do you live? Where do you call home?
My home base, I'll call it my home base, is Long Beach, California. So it's a little south of Los Angeles, but I, live in places like Bali a few months every year. And I just got back. I have property in Costa Rica. I'm building a retreat space out there. So I was out there for about 3 weeks. Yeah. And I just got back a few days ago. So I call myself a global citizen.
That's awesome. I often interview people that are nomad entrepreneurs and love doing that. The two places that you mentioned, I love. Bali has been on my bucket list forever, and I do want to do retreats a couple times a year. And Costa Rica is the first place that I wanted to go, so we'll have to continue to chat on that.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
So, what inspired you to become a serial entrepreneur, going from what you were doing? I'd love to have you share that journey and how living in these different countries really influenced you, especially in your perspective of life and work.
Yeah. So like I was, like you had said, I was living in my early 30s. That was my dream, to move to New York City. I mean, in my 20s, but I got there when I was 30, right before I turned 30. Moved to New York City, got a job in corporate luxury fashion. That was my dream, to do the whole Sex and the City thing. And for a few years, I did that. And I thought that was where I was going to end up and climb the corporate ladder. And it's kind of like I woke up one day and I didn't care anymore. I didn't care about that fashion handbag, how many followers that model had, that we had to book. And I think it just hit me of what else is out there to like feel purpose in my life and fulfilled. And at the same time, my partner then, he's his own boss. He got to come and go and loves to travel. I love traveling, but in the US we get the 20 days of vacation. We got to be really careful about that.
I was fortunate. I worked at a company for a long time and I had 6 weeks vacation, which was awesome. But most of the people I knew only had 2 weeks. I was like, oh.
Yeah. So then, it became a more of a reverse engineered idea of like, okay, well, what can I do from my computer, waking up anywhere in the world? So let me just like slowly figure that out. And that's how I became like, when I say serial entrepreneurs, learning a lot of different online businesses that were product based, but I could still do it online. And that allowed us to start to live in places for long periods of time.
Mm-hmm. One of the first business that I got into that ties so nicely to what I do today is anti-aging and wellness, and their products are fantastic. No one knows I'm 66 and I'm good with that. But it was that for that reason. It's, what can I do that will be helping people that I, can do via a website, that I don't have to be tied to a garage full of products or, an office building. And so I can completely relate to what you're saying. So can you describe your transformation, that experience in Bali, and how it really kind of guided you to integrate the various modalities, wellness modalities that really have you do what you do today?
Yeah, again, coming from complete opposite of living in New York, I'm your type A personality, very go, go, go. I have a lot of energy. And you couldn't catch me meditating for anything back then. If you were to tell me, 10 years or 15 years ago that I would be meditating and I would be doing yoga, not athletic yoga, but yoga for like the mind, body, and soul, I'd be like, what do you mean, And so when we were in Bali, because a lot of digital nomads are there, and with your American dollar, your lifestyle is very nice. But then I started trying all these different classes that outside of yoga and experimenting with different healers and modalities, just because it's just offered there, and it's very affordable to try everything. So, and actually, like, I'll say one of my biggest moments with healing and transformation was a breathwork workshop. Not knowing what breathwork was, my partner and I was like, I signed us up for this 3-hour long breathwork workshop. Sounds cool. I don't really know what it is. We knew what Wim Hof was, the closest thing to breathwork we knew about. So we went in, and I was like, after an hour, I'm like, this all just happened through my breath. And I unlocked so much, like tapped into so many things outside of my own consciousness and self, and like even healed little things where subconsciously. And I was like, there's just something to it. So that's kind of really what kicked off my exploration into other modalities too, of just asking people around and just trying different things.
I think too, whenever you have that discovery of something that's helping you so much, you want to tell everybody. You want to just be able to help everyone and have them experience that same thing.
Oh, exactly.
So as a Reiki master teacher and breathwork and sound healer, how do you integrate those various healing modalities you've learned into your practice?
So I'll say that, I'm not practicing self Reiki on myself every day anymore. It's pretty rare because it's become such a part of my lifestyle that it's a lifestyle. Like it's within, because Reiki is just channeling, so is breath work, so is sound healing. All of these modalities you're just channeling life force energy that encompasses, all living beings.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just becomes part of like in every action you take, every breath you take in. I mean, I send energy out to even my food, the spaces I'm in, everything. I like sent it before we sat down and got on Zoom together. I was just sealing our little bubble with Reiki energy, but I think more subconsciously than actually like, let me do the symbols. Breathwork is something that's a little bit newer in terms of me facilitating it. So I do breath work more often during the week just to heighten my practice for when I facilitate with others.
Right.
But yeah, I think I just live, breathe it, that energy
So
comes through.
for the sound healing, explain that. I'm not as familiar. I know a couple of my associates and friends do the bowls and the sound with the bowls that the first time I ever heard it, I said, "Oh my God, it's why I have chimes everywhere." Because the chimes, that sound just releases stress from me.
Yeah, I do work with the Tibetan bowls. I do have some crystal bowls, but I just call it sound medicine because I love actually I collect a lot of different ancient instruments from my travels. So I have my drums, my rattles, the chimes, all these things that I just think with the vibration of these ancient instruments, it's just moving the vibration and frequency within us. There's something about it and something about the sound to just, so this weekend I had the rattle and I had my friends, we were hanging out and I had them shaking the rattle around them to just like break up all this negative energy they've been feeling from the week. And I was just like, just shake it, rattle it, take your kid's baby rattle, just like rattle it around you, but even through breath work, because when I'm leading a session, even with any energy healing session, I'm using pre-recorded music as well. And I just think any music, any gift an artist is bringing into the world, even those sounds can just still help move the energy and emotions within you, that it's another medicine that, using other people's gifts.
So as I mentioned earlier, we have a new puppy, and I think it's one of God's gifts for me is I am really good with babies and shushing babies to sleep. And I can shush my puppy to sleep. And it's just that shh, shh, shh sound that calms them down. And it's so cool to see how it just, without them having any power, they just fall asleep. So again, I think sound healing is something that we have too much noise in the world. And if you can do something that just takes your mind off that noise and you concentrate on the sound, that slows down your heart, I think it just makes you get back to center.
Yeah. And even you mentioning the shushing, that must calm yours down because, people do like chanting or vibrational, like even the om, but even like like you don't want to om, you don't chant or shush, but they're like, even that humming actually, physically is doing something within your body.
So how did this embracing of wellness and mindfulness help you reconnect with that true self? Some other practices that you did that really brought about that transformation? Because I don't, and I want you to kind of talk about timing, because as a high-strung New York A personality, it did not happen overnight, I would imagine. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So it's incorporating all these practices over time. I mean, so the breath work led me to not learn about breath work, but actually I don't know why, but it spun me over to Reiki at first, because in the breathwork practice, I was like shaking so much and someone came to put their hands on me and my nervous system instantly calmed down. I was like, what did you just do? They explained what Reiki was. I'm like, sign me up. When's the next time I can learn that? If I can use my hands and instantly calm my nervous system down, because I knew I was a high strung person that was, I don't use the word anxiety in my vocabulary anymore, but I was very highly anxious and worried. And, in corporate world, we get like the Sunday scaries. I think like the slew of emails we have to get to, and all these things cause our nervous system to be on a very high fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode. And so when I did learn Reiki, I was really diligent about, there's a 21-day cleansing process. I was doing it Reiki morning and night. Like, I am a disciplined person. I love like that. I love challenges. So I'm like, okay, I will do this. And within the 21 days, I physically, mentally, emotionally noticed a shift within me, like just within that. And so that's what kept me going. And then learning all these other tools. And it's just over time, but it's like the whole, I think 21 days to make it a habit, 90 days to incorporate it in your lifestyle. And that's what happened with me. But then over time, it just became like an environment. I mean, being in Bali, you can't be like, Mama Bali is going to smack you upside down. Like, nobody's like high strung like that, especially the Balinese. They're like, take it slow. But within practice, I just noticed that I became and the people around me noticed that I became an overall calmer person. I'm like a very grounded person to be around, and, to not have to worry over the little things, or become or be able to combat stress when it comes. It's like, once you start seeing changes and feeling better, you keep them on, and you want to incorporate and learn more things that are really helping you make a shift.
Yeah. And I think also it's important to remember that the first time you do it might not be great or right, but to just keep trying, right?
Keep going. It's not, there's no instant quick fixes, like, this isn't go to one healer and they're going to fix you, right? It's a lifestyle change. It's over time. It's like slowly getting your body to remember its baseline, and that it can live in balance and harmony.
So elaborate on intergenerational and ancestral healing trauma.
So, over the years too, I've, in my practice, and this is for the audience too, if you don't really sign up with the whole spirit guides, guardian angels, para animals, at least, we all have had ancestors. We have grandparents, great grandparents, centuries and centuries of generation. We come from a lineage, and their DNA and blood lives within us. And in terms of like the healing and the connection, their energy, they're all there waiting on the sidelines to help us out, bestow their wisdom, help us do the clearing. And at the same time, when they want to pass down this wisdom, they've also passed down, again, within the blood and DNA is any trauma they went through, centuries and centuries ago, regardless of where your ancestors were from or mine. I'm pretty sure they were at war, experienced some type of extreme, like famine or any of those things back, way back. And then think of what maybe your great grandparents went through. We just, World War I and II weren't that long ago, right? Or other things, that whatever traumas that gets passed down through the blood, through the DNA. And then over each generation, it may show up in a different way. It kind of gets morphed, and that could even show in more cases of addiction, because it was due to that great grandparent, surviving a war or whatnot and having post PTSD, and then it morphs into addiction later on. So I say, working with generational cycle breakers, of breaking those cycles, because when we can heal ourselves within, we heal 7 generations back. But it's also about the legacy we want to leave forward, whether you have kids or whether it's for your siblings, your cousins, that just making sure those stop there. And it might not even be those traits. I'll speak to like Asian Americans, and Asians culturally are one example, shown not to show emotion.
Yeah.
And, our parents weren't shown that. Their parents didn't show them that. But I know within this generation now, I see it within my Asian American friends, at least, they're trying to show their kids differently. They want to allow their kids to show emotion. They want to say, I love you to their kids. We don't use those terms, right? But we see also where that hurt and hindered us. And that might, I'm not saying anything. Our parents immigrated. They didn't know it. They were doing the best they could. But now it's like breaking those cycles and seeing how we can change for the legacy going forward.
It's interesting. I do youth leadership for kids, and one of the groups I work with is a Chinese academy. And so right now I have a bunch of 8, 9-year-olds, and all the things that you're talking about, I'm sure some of their ancestors would be up in arms, but I teach them how to be more expressive and show their vulnerability and their emotions and creative and innovative, and they love the class.
That's amazing.
So,
yeah.
So it's a way to I just want all people to have a voice and to be able to use it impactfully and effectively. But let's talk about any success stories that you might have or experiences from people who you've helped through having this intuitive guidance or healing methods.
Yeah, so I think, I do have clients that I work with monthly, and a lot of them are leaders in their workplace. They either own businesses, they're leaders in corporate, and a lot of them, some of them deal with heavy stuff that they have to carry on, hold space for other people, lead a huge team, deal with, things. So working with them, most of them are breathwork clients. So they come and breathe monthly with me. It's kind of like, it's great upkeep for your own self-care. It's kind of like you book your massage once a month, facial, whatever, but you're also going to book your breath work or energy healing session to also make sure your insides are working well, and your mind, body, and spirit. But to see them, because I have a few in mind from when we started to a year later, just look forward to these sessions. And actually, it's really helped them to not only release a lot of things, not necessarily in the workplace, but it's a great accompaniment to talk therapy, but somatically it goes into the body to release. But they work on traumas from when they were in childhood that only helps them to be more clear and show up clearer now in the workplace. And then it taps them into their intuition as well. So really they are able to lead with better decision-making abilities, confident in who they are in the workplace, but also at home. So it's affecting them both professionally and personally, to just really clear a lot of heavy stuff they've been holding on to for years, maybe decades.
Fantastic. So you talked a little bit about your upbringing in San Diego. You had immigrant parents, which always is both interesting and sometimes challenging. How did they influence your ambitions and your values that you find today?
Oh, and I state this again, I'm sure all parents, regardless if they were immigrants or not, they were doing the best they can with what they were doing at the time, right? Different generations, different times. I'm a child of the early 80s, so very different than times than it was now. But because they met here, they were matched, through a friend. But since they were both coming from a third world country, they came, like many immigrants do, to try to build a better life for their future family or for themselves. So not knowing, I mean, so they came here with the it's interesting though, because they come with the values of their culture.
Yeah.
So I always say I'm very Filipino in the household, but then when you like, I walk out into the school grounds when I was growing up, it's, I mean, American, right? And so
Yeah.
in a melting pot, but then I have friends that whose parents maybe were for generations have been here in the US. So the values are very different. And it was like a very strict Catholic Filipino household. And, it's, you could be a doctor or lawyer growing up. Those are the only two things.
Yes.
I was neither, but it's like, you need to, grades were the most important
Yeah.
thing, not, no boyfriend until you were done out of college. So it was just, I was always trying to be the best in my class, get the best grades, because that's all I knew. And I wanted to, make my parents proud.
Yeah.
And I think that work hard mentality is great. But then now now I'm going to go into a different part, but looking back and reflecting back, that's, I equated working hard, and I linked it with stress and I linked it with anxiety, but that's what I needed to get to the top, get good grades, be successful. It's like a weird twist where I now, in the last few years, I'm reflecting back of in who I've become over the years. And it was that person that was so goal oriented and, doing anything to just hit their goals. And maybe that wasn't, that's not all that, not that that's all it's cracked up to be, but I was kind of reflecting and seeing that all these traits that got me there are these things that I'm trying to decondition myself from now and not pass on to my future kids.
Yeah. It's interesting too, when we talk about goals, people think, well, goals have to be related to climbing the corporate ladder, being the best, the most perfect at what you do. And they forget about the goal of enjoying the day, or the goal of loving your family, or the goal of celebrating, the beauty of nature and all those things. And I think when you start to change the mix of your goals is when you start to just really enjoy life a little bit more.
Yeah, I say to people, reflect, what does success mean to you, or what is happiness or joy? And it might not have been even what you thought anymore, or what your neighbor has. Just think back and then reverse of okay, well, what do you have to do to get there? Maybe it is that time freedom. So maybe you need to step back on, a bunch of saying yes to obligations or saying yes at work, and take your time back, because maybe that is success. That is joy, because you have control over your time and how you spend it. And that's just one example.
Yeah. Finding what you love and doing that. And, you talked about your parents, doctor, lawyer. A lot of the kids that I work with at that young age, that's what, when you ask them what they want to be, it's a doctor, a lawyer, a engineer. And it's like, but what do you love to do? My daughter, who was tremendous in math, but she also is tremendous in the arts. And so she went to SCAD in Savannah for film and fashion and just excelled. I mean, you have to, life is short, after working for over 40 years in the corporate world. For me, I am enjoying my retirement, but it does not look like the retirement of so many people, because I finally have the freedom to do what I want and enjoy it, and kind of have control over what I do. And I think that's what people just need to do. I'd love to teach the kids that are going into college age or whatever. I says, go to college, because it's a place to meet a diverse group of people. It's a place to expand your knowledge. But you may come out of college and become an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. You know, as you're going to college, have businesses on the side so you can see, is this what I like or no? I find that I need to have that corporate environment where I have people around me and that network and that constant communication of folks. And working on my own is not fun, and I don't like to be by myself. So there's so many things that if you just give yourself permission, I think, to connect with who you are and what you want. And that's where I think, you know, what you do is so important because it really gives you that space to do that.
I agree. But it took me a while to get there, but that's okay. I'm here now. Better late than never.
Well, I'm 66. I didn't really discover that I didn't, you know, I didn't get the attitude of I really don't care about climbing any corporate ladder until I was 50. You know, that's far too long. That's why I do what I do today. I want to, you know, be able to connect young entrepreneurs, young people with their voice and with their ability to do what is passionate to them, but also that they have a purpose. I think, you know, it's one thing to be passionate about things, but you have to have a purpose in life and find that purpose. And it does not happen overnight. It's all of our day-to-day experiences that really enrich us and guide us on our journey of life. Well, it is time now for me to share your contact information. If those out there say, I really need to talk to um, Heceliza to make sure that I, you know, learn more about these different ways to connect and heal and transform. So I'm going to share my screen. If you're just watching or listening, you can go to my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. So please do subscribe, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com and check out the show notes. So the website is Heceliza.com. Heceliza, that's Heceliza.com. Heceliza.com. And Instagram is Heceliza dash or underscore, I'm sorry, underscore energy healing, one word. So Heceliza energy healing with underscore between those, name and energy healing. I'm going to turn it over to Heceliza to talk to you about what you'll find on her website about a free guided activation that you can do, and how often she's out there on Instagram that you might be able to connect and DM her with questions. So Heceliza, it's all yours.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So if you go on to my website, heceliza.com, you can type in /free-meditation, but there should be prompts all over the page to get your free meditation that you can I quickly guide you to connect to your inner energy and your intuition. It's just so easy, simple, as long as, you know, just giving yourself permission, the time and space to do it. And you can send me a DM too on my Instagram. I'm constantly weekly giving tips, inspiration, support on really connecting with yourself and your intuition. And I actually, coming up at the end of this month, I have Reiki level 1 training. So I'm still spots are open for that. It's online, so you could be anywhere in the world. And in 2 days, learn Reiki level 1. That's something to help calm your nervous system down, reconnect with your inner self, your spirit, your body. And that is with you for a lifetime. And then that kicks off. I actually have a program for 3 months. It kicks that off if you want extra support. So it's a 3-month group program container. It's called the Intuitive Energy Alignment Mentorship, because when people learn Reiki for 2 days, I don't want you to just go off, but then let's work on that, harness that energy and keep building on your intuition. And we go over things like ancestral healing, intergenerational trauma, breath work, using a lot of other modalities I've learned from teachers all over the world and practiced for years you're going to learn that all in the 3 months, so that by the end of those 90 days, you will come to be a more balanced, centered person that can find that inner peace really quickly within you.
Well, it has been just great having you as a guest. You gave wonderful tips and stories and insights, and I hope that the audience will take advantage of your free meditation or the 3-month class. As always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.